Boys, we are here. How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
What's up? What's up? Happy Friday to everybody. Today it is March 27th, 2020.
Yeah, well, I've lost track of all days since this whole quarantine business has happened. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Seriously, I like, aside from the fact that I knew my wedding anniversary was this week, everything's just a blur at this point to me. We're only 2 weeks into this thing. I'm still a big proponent of just pushing on 60 days, just like nothing nothing going on. No bills need to be paid for 60 days. Just like, let's shut everything down just to kill this thing once for all. We'll all go nuts indoors, but then we can all go back to work. That's my, it's two in between right now. But anyways, it's not what we're here to talk about today, guys. We're here to talk about news. It is Hear Me Out. It is our Friday morning news show that we do every single week on Fridays. Joining me as always as my co-host, my right-hand man who has done all the show notes today. So if you love him, make sure you go show him some love. Mr. Potato, how are you today, buddy?
I'm all right. How are you doing? And if you hate the show notes, message Kenneth in because he said it was my turn to do them.
Yep. Very good. And then joining us for the first time, longtime watcher and supporter of the stream, finally got him in. It took us, we had, what, 2 million, Matt? Is that what? To get him to come on the show? Yeah.
We just had to start a pandemic so I could work from home. That's all.
Exactly. Yeah. we just had to release a virus out into the world so that we could have you here on a Friday morning. Give it up for Jack of All Studios, the one and only. All right.
Wait,
nope, not that one. Where is it? That's the one I wanted to do.
Oh,
that's Matt's song, the other one.
Morse code? Oh, okay. I was wondering what you're doing.
You can't hear it. Only I can hear it. And the people listening can hear it, but...
Got it.
But Jack, how are you doing, man? How's you just said you're working from home now. You get to be home a lot more. Enjoying it?
Yeah, I feel like I live in this office. I leave to get food and to use the bathroom and sleep.
So it's like a prison cell. A prison cell with the things that you like, at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, I got the monitors and the computers, and so, my wife calls this my hole that I crawl into.
There you go. I try to crawl in it as much as I can, too, but my wife pulls me out every now and then, too.
Yeah, wife and kids will do that to you.
Yeah. So thank you guys all for coming and hanging out. We're going to do our normal show just as we always do. We're going to cover the same topics, same things, and provide some of that rhythm normacy that has been so interrupted in so many of our lives here. But before we do, Matt, would you please pray for this morning's show?
Definitely, of course. It'd be my pleasure.
Thank you.
Lord, we just thank you for giving us an opportunity still amidst this crisis or pandemic and virus release and everything that's going on in the world, that we can still come together and hang out and have fun and still talk about news, even though there isn't a lot of news that we would want to cover, Lord. And we just thank you for this opportunity you give us, and we praise you. And Lord, I just pray for the show that would go well, be smooth, no craziness, and that all of our conversations will be fruitful. And for all the streams and everything going on today, Lord, that they would just go great, and that we can honor you in all that we do here. And Lord, we praise you, and we thank you for this. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 All right, Matt, you're going to kick it off like you always do with trailers. What do we got? Now, understanding everybody watching that movie theaters are closed, as far as we know, movies are getting pushed back left and right or going straight to video on demand. But there are still trailers coming out, just in not movie theater form usually. So, Matt, hit us with it. What do we got here? What's our first trailer?
So, this one was weird. I saw that. I'm like, I had to put it in there, but it's weird. It's called The Willow Bees, or what is it? Terry Crews?
Yeah, Terry Crews.
Who's Terry Crews?
I'm guessing
Terry Crews is?
I know who Terry Crews is.
Okay.
And he moves his pecs up and down. That kind of caught my eye because of the title. Because we stayed in a kind of shady motel in Arkansas. This movie is called Arkansas. It's a crime drama thriller, and I clicked on it because I saw it was Vince Vaughn, and I'm like, I haven't seen Vince Vaughn in a hot minute.
Yeah, like what's that guy been
so
doing?
let's check this out. So it's a like I said, it's crime drama thriller. Releases May 1st, 2020. It's called titled Arkansas. Kyle and Swin live by the orders of an Arkansas-based drug kingpin named Frog. It's a great kingpin name, whom they've never met. But when a deal goes horribly wrong, the consequences are deadly. Man, this movie I'd actually watch. I don't know where it's going to release. It releases May 1st, 2020. But when you saw this trailer, what did you think, Chad?
So once again, I think it looks interesting. It's like, you're used to seeing like the whole drug cartel thing in like the bigger cities, New York, LA, Miami, things like that. And so I think it's an interesting take to see, kind of almost like a backwater part of the country where things are obviously not as sophisticated. That is interesting seeing Vince Vaughn in a non-comedic role. So I'll be interested to see how that translates, because even when he's not trying to be funny, he still kind of comes off that way. Yeah. Because that's just kind of like his sarcastic, funny tone, right? So I'll be interested to see how it translates. But having John Malkovich in it is,
dude, I love John Malkovich.
That makes it worth it, in my opinion. He is such a great actor.
Yeah.
So I'm actually looking forward to this one. And probably one of the most interesting things that I found about this trailer was nothing to do with the trailer itself, but when it releases and what it releases on. So, with everything that's going on, when you'll see there at the end of the trailer, it's in theaters, on digital, and DVD all on the same day.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting, given, the current climate of things.
So Clark Duke, he was in The Office. He was in Hot Tub Time Machine. He's the guy with the long hair and the mustache. I didn't recognize him at first.
I didn't either.
He's also the director.
Is he really?
He's directing this movie.
Huh.
And he co-wrote it. So that's what I'm actually kind of like, okay, let's see what maybe he has chops before with directing. But I want to see how he does, because he's a funny guy. So this is more of a serious tone. Yeah. Well, he's Clark.
Let's see. So he's also been. No, he's just been in Hot Tub Time Machine. What is he directed?
I have no idea. Let's see. I clicked director credits. Oh, Arkansas. He directed. The only other things he directed was 3 shorts and an episode on a TV series in 2007.
Okay, so he's been in a lot of things. He hasn't directed a lot of things.
This is his feature.
Got it.
Debut directing.
Interesting. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. It looks good. It looks like it's going to be an interesting movie, like a deeper, more serious movie. So I'm open to it. This is probably my favorite one out of all of them. If I were to give an early,
it's a star-studded cast.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seems like like that's the thing that just being in Arkansas, and seeing that it's not like super big and like all these other cities and everything, and being where we live and everything, like it is interesting because you don't see stuff out in the middle of nowhere. You don't see stuff on movies and stuff, so it's kind of cool. I lived in the high desert in California at some point, and the drug scene there is so different than in like LA.
Yeah.
Of course, granted, right now it's all different, but it's just So it intrigues me. I just want to be able to. I just hope it's not like a $6 rental on Amazon, like when it drops, because that's like my biggest annoyance.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably going to end up being like a $20 rental if the recent stuff is any indication. I don't know if you guys saw, but there's been like 3 movies that was supposed to release in theaters, I guess last weekend. They just went straight to early access on like Amazon Cinema is what they're calling it. And they're $20 to rent.
Dang. I can believe that now. Like, streaming's going to become a pretty big commodity during this time. It's why literally just before we started the show, guys, we were talking about last week. I mentioned like YouTube TV and how it's awesome and it's great. You guys should check it out. Free trial, 14 days. Matt just did it and they had 5 days and I didn't believe him. So I checked it this morning and now it's down to 3 days. You only get 3 days to try out YouTube TV. And I would still take it if I were like, at the very least, take 3 free days and just make sure you cancel it in 3 days.
Yeah,
You can
don't forget to
remember
cancel
pretty
it.
well, because it is $50. It's still pretty pricey, but I think streaming will become a pretty hot commodity now because you're stuck inside. What are you gonna do? You know, if you're not a gamer, movies
True.
and shows are
Good point.
yeah.
Not a gamer. That would suck.
Yeah.
Though I live in that world. Just kidding. It sounds so mean. Okay, well, next trailer after seeing Arkansas is a TV series on Netflix. It releases in April. It's called The Big Show. It's a WWE Netflix collaboration with The Big Show, and it's a sitcom. It looks cute to me, honestly. And I'm not biased at all because Big Show is one of my favorite wrestlers.
I was gonna
growing
say,
up.
weren't you a big fan of him?
Yeah, I was. I was a big fan of The Big Show, Pog Champ. It just looks like I actually like the sitcom, the Gabriel Iglesias sitcom on Netflix, Mr. Iglesias, I think it's called, or something like that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's funny. It's like I can just throw it on and just chill out. Like I'm not. It's not taxing on my brain. I can just watch it. So that's why I was like, I saw this and like, this is cool. But also imagine, The Big Show is he's literally a giant. And just seeing him standing next to normal people, like in a show, I just find it awesome and hilarious because, he can kill everyone.
He's disproportionately big. Yeah.
He's so big. And so when you saw this trailer, would this be something you'd be interested in watching, Jay? I know you're not like a super big fan of wrestling, but
So me and my wife, with being quarantined, we've been watching Boy Meets World for the first time. I finally convinced her to like watch it. It's my childhood show. I grew up with it, loved it, and I kept telling her like it's a great show, like Christian values, all this stuff. We rewatch it now, like from the adult perspective. And growing up as a kid, I always rooted for Corey and the kids, and like always wanting the kids to be right. Now as an adult, I'm like, I see every point that the adults make, and I'm like totally like, Corey's an idiot. He's so dumb. They're too young. And my wife has gotten so frustrated. Like she's walked away out of the room of the show so many times. So I'm checking my biases here. I'm willing to give this a shot, knowing that like adults view things differently than kids will. This probably seems like it'll be a pretty entertaining like sitcom series. It seems very like following in the footsteps of something like The Rock or something like that, of like big muscular wrestling person now moving on to acting. I think this falls in line right there with like the Boy Meets World, Full House type of sitcom, and I think it could grow on you for sure. And I think we'll have to see how the first season does, but I'm open to it. Whereas I think before I probably would have just been like, I'm not going to check it out.
Yeah, I agree. Like it definitely looks interesting. And I agree. It kind of gives that whole TGIF, family sitcom vibe.
Yeah.
Like the Full House or Family Matters type of thing, which I love the fact that Jaleel White's in this as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious because, since, Paul White is playing himself in the show, is Jaleel White playing himself as, like the former actor, or is he just another character on the show? So I'll be interested to see that. But this I think it looks funny. It's not going to be groundbreaking, but it looks interesting enough.
Yeah. It could be just a new show to get attached to. I'd imagine that he's going to...
It should be a fun distraction from everything else that's going on right now.
Right. Exactly. I'm trying to see I forgot the exact release date.
I love it.
So it's funny. I heard about that. Oh, it releases April 6th. So next week.
Oh, yeah. So it's coming out quick.
So, I knew about this a while ago because months ago I was listening to the Stone Cold podcast because he has on a whole bunch of people, and he had Big Show on, and he was saying that how he was filming the show and they were writing it and coming up with it, and it was like he wanted to get into something different. He's done like indie movies and stuff, but the fact he was able to get like a official thing from the WWE, and it wasn't like he had to go off and do something different. Was kind of cool. So it was kind of cool hearing that like little bit of a backstory from it, and I'm like, that's awesome. I like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like the fact that like it's something not really expected from a former wrestler who is of his stature. A lot of times those guys are typecast as like the big dumb strong guy, and so it's nice to see not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. He like I was telling Jack before stream, the Big Show, he's hilarious. Well, heck, you guys remember Waterboy?
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
he's in that. And of course he's typecast as a giant. He's in Jingle All the Way, by the way, as a giant. But he's also really funny. So a couple of the indie movies he's done, like they're just comedies, and he has a sense of humor that I love. And so he's not just the big guy, like he's a lovable giant. He's just a teddy bear. So it's kind of cool to see him actually like act.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me is as long as a show like this, it just has to have really good heart. I can look past the like kiddish jokes or the quirkiness of it if it just has really good heart and really good messages at the, like at the heart of it.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. Who's writing and producing this? I don't even know. I didn't even know this was a thing until last night when you sent out these notes.
I will tell you in 1 second. Who is writing?
I don't know.
Hey.
I'm looking at the writers. I don't know any of them.
Yeah, me neither.
So we'll see. Doesn't mean it won't be good.
Exactly. We've seen plenty of movies and shows that have been written and directed by people we've never known. So
yeah, this could be their big break. Right
At
here.
one point in time, Steven Spielberg was unknown.
Right?
Fact.
Exactly.
Good point. Very good point. Like, who's this guy? Why is he directing Jaws? Why are we giving him money?
Yeah.
Right.
By the way, random plug, but that was a great podcast. It was the making of Jaws. It's really great. We got a lot of downtime. So let's move on to the next trailer. This one comes on a new service, right? This is called The Most Dangerous Game. It's a TV series. I just realized it was a TV series. I thought it was a movie. Is that Liam?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, is Liam Hemsworth, not Thor.
Yeah.
He's
His little brother,
brothers.
who's not Loki.
Yeah. And Christoph Waltz is in it, which is kind of cool. I like Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
Ever since Inglourious Bastards. Oh, I agree with you, Duff. Sorry, Duff just distracted me. Okay, Most Dangerous Game. True, who doesn't have a lot of downtime right now? Most Dangerous Game. It looked interesting. Essentially, hey, I need money for some surgery, or it was something like that. And they said, well, we'll give you money for every hour you survive us hunting you. He's like, well, is that paintball or something? He's like, no, to the death. We're like, oh, okay. So I'm wondering now, since it's kind of like a series, like it'll be kind of cool to see how far it goes. Like, are they gonna do like increments? Like it's actually an hour each episode. Like, is it gonna be like 24?
Like a 24 thing.
Yeah. Like that'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool.
That would be. You're making this sound more interesting. You're drawing me in, Matt, to the
You're welcome.
the appeal of this more so than the trailer did. Thank you.
I'm a natural salesman.
Yeah.
But releases April 2020 on Quibi.
Yeah.
Quibi. Never heard of Quibi before, but it's interesting. So, Jay, when you saw this trailer, were you like, it's Liam Hemsworth and Christoph Waltz? Like, what'd you think?
Yeah, I was again like fascinated by the streaming platforms and like what a time for Quibi to like come up. Like this,
right?
The platform's not even up and running yet, but it releases on the 6th, which is just a few days away. And like when everyone has, like Turtle was saying, the most downtime in the world to check things out, the time people are looking for other content and other streaming services to like up their game. This seems like super interesting. This is something that like I feel like Apple TV missed out on, or is like a show like this that's like high adrenaline, type of action adventure show. And I think the whole thing with Quibi is like they're only 10 minutes long, so like they condense an hour into 10 minutes, and it's just that hour that he's alive. This makes like perfect sense for this type of platform if that's what they're looking to do.
Yep. Yeah, I'll be interested to see how the whole 10-minute thing goes. So they're all like episodes. Everything's episodic on the platform. and everything's about 10 minutes from, at least that's what I'm getting from all their commercials that shows up in everything.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of big name stars with this platform, which is very interesting. The only downside for me is it's mobile based. Like it is designed to be viewed on a mobile device.
Yeah.
And when I see something like this, big action packed, high adrenaline, I want it on a big screen. So
Right.
I'm not sure how that's going to translate to like a mobile experience.
Yeah.
But once again, it's an interesting concept. I mean, the concept's been done, right? You know, you got 24 hours to survive or whatever, that type of thing. But I always enjoy those type of movies, and especially if they're high adrenaline, high action. But with like Netflix, you know, they drop the entire season at once. Quibi seems to be, there's going to be new releases. I don't know if it's daily or weekly. But that's kind of a turnoff for me, because when I have time to sit down, I want to sit there and binge watch it. I don't want to just watch, you know, a 10-minute thing today and then have to wait for tomorrow to see how the next step, you know, happens.
Yeah. It'd be interesting from like a movie making perspective of how momentum will be in the, you know, because there's no downtime. Like, are you going to need that 10 minutes to create a scene where there isn't action? And so, but then that's really boring, you know?
They're just really fast scenes.
Yeah. Oh, great. I get to rest. I wonder what's going to happen. And the next thing is just he's running for his life. Oh, good. Glad we got away from that one.
Right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like I said, this is pretty much like the TikTok of movies.
The TikTok of movies. Lord help us.
Yeah. But I am curious to see how it plays out and to see how this site works, and if it's going to be filled with microtransactions, or like after every minute there's going to be a little ad that you have to watch or interact with before you can X out of it, like free to play games, free to play mobile games.
That's a good thing to think about, is like, you know, what is the whole experience going to be like? Like, they're definitely focusing on getting the content out there and about the length of the episodes, but yeah, what's the user experience going to be outside of actual content?
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see, but I'm definitely going to check it out. Be excited to see what this is all about here.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool.
That's it for me, by the way. No more trailers.
All right.
I'm gonna pass the baton off to you, Jay.
All right. So within the midst of all of this doom and gloom that everyone's been experiencing, just a little piece of light news here. James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy, as a lot of them know, he also directed the new Suicide Squad that nobody wants to go see, but has been taking to Twitter, making a couple jokes. It's no news that him and Michael Rooker, the guy who plays Yondu from Guardians of the Galaxy, they've been friends for a long time. They've been in a lot of movies and worked together on a lot of different sets, most notably for Yondu from Guardians. But as a joke, James Gunn a few years back bought a bunch of toilet paper with his face on it and put them all over his house as like a joke when Rooker came over to visit him. And he took to Twitter just recently with the crisis and everybody panic buying for toilet paper, and says like, "Hey, we bought this as a joke. Didn't think I'd actually one day having to be using this to wipe my own." But Michael Rooker is now is being used this joke toilet paper. So Jack, you read this. What do you think of this? These certain times, desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. But
I mean, I think it's great, you know, because of everything is so serious. You know, everybody's on lockdown.
Yeah.
You know, everyone's panic buying things. It's fun to see things like this, and more so like in general, it's just a funny concept. But this really like goes to show like friendship between friends, right? Because in the midst of this, he's making a joke, trying to cheer everyone up, but at the same time, he's trolling one of his friends, which is just absolutely great.
Yeah. Who would you have if you could put somebody's face on your toilet paper? Who would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Well, like as a joke, or as like, I don't like that guy.
However you want to interpret it, Matt.
I'm gonna have to plead the fifth and think about this one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can say it on the internet because some people might think I'm a jerk.
Well, I'll make a Twitter post and you guys can answer me there. How about that?
There you go.
I'll give you guys a little bit more time.
Ken,
yeah.
No, but it wouldn't just be Ken. It'd be like Ken's face, like photoshopped on Thomas the Train. You know that one picture we have.
Why have we not done that yet?
I think someone has. Yeah, I think it's in the GMA Discord somewhere.
Where? I need to find this.
Someone made it at some point. I think they did.
Okay, if they didn't, can someone do that?
Yeah, please and
easily.
thank you.
Someone with Photoshop skills needs to do that.
Yeah. Ken on Thomas the Choo Choo Train's face, or vice versa. Yes, that way. Please and thank you. But yeah, Matt, what did you think of this? You saw this. You put it in the notes.
I'm sorry. I'm responding to a work crisis.
Oh, you're good.
No, well, not a crisis, I should say. I like Chad said, it's such a serious time, and just bringing some light to it would be hilarious. I actually just saw one this morning. Another like celebrity said, I got this as a joke one time, and it was like a giant roll of it. It's like, now I'm having to use it. Like, I feel like I'm rich now.
This is the one time people want others to TP their house, you know?
Yeah, I saw someone post that, like, right now, toilet papering someone's house would be the biggest flex.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, it's the biggest flex.
Yeah. All right, but let's move on to something that I think both of these two will be pretty excited. I'm pretty excited about this, and that is Claire, that we all know and love. Her real name is Dawson. What's her first name? Rosario Dawson. Most of us know her as Claire from the Netflix Marvel series. She was kind of the connecting bridge between all of them, connecting character. Well, she's now in talk to be in The Mandalorian. So season 2, which I think unanimously across the board, everyone has enjoyed for the most part, and is super excited for the upcoming season. Matt, we'll start with you because I know you're like chomping at the bit probably to talk about this. What do you think of it?
Man, I saw this and I thought it was fake, and then IGN started reporting it. All the other, it's alleged or reported. It's not fully confirmed, but we did get teased that there's gonna be like lightsaber fights in season 2. We're gonna see, the origins of the child, and now supposedly we have Ahsoka Tano live action. We heard her voice, in the newest Star Wars movie. So if you guys don't know who Ahsoka Tano is, some people haven't seen the Clone Wars, which I highly urge you. Now that you have time, watch it on Disney Plus, please. But Ahsoka Tano, she's a Jedi, who kind of goes rogue, and she was Anakin's apprentice at one point.
Yeah,
great beloved character out of the whole fandom, and the fact now we potentially have a live action version makes me so excited and curious on how this is all going to go down. I'm like, what are we doing? But if it's Dave Filoni pretty much introduced her, right? So like, if anyone has a good way of working with this character, it's him. And so I'm like, let's go. I'm so stoked.
Jack, what about you? What did you think of this news? Are you as hyped as Matt is for this?
I am. I mean, I've got some reservations about it, but and I'll get that in a minute. But first off, this has been so well received on the internet. I think Disney would be stupid not to pursue this at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, if they cast anyone other than Rosario Dawson, there's going to be outrage, right? Because I mean, and you can even find like fan art of people like photoshopping what she would look like.
Yeah. I think there was some even in the same article.
They look great. I mean, I would be a fantastic choice. I'm really excited to see a live action version. My only hesitation is with it showing up in The Mandalorian, because the whole appeal of season 1 was there were no Jedi, right? This is still the universe, but it's kind of back to, the Jedi, are they really real type of thing? They're just kind of a hokey religion, if you will. Throughout season 1.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting how they introduce it if that's the route they decide to go. But once again, they did great with season 1. I fully trust them, obviously, with season 2, and I'm really excited to see how this pans out.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be interested to see how it takes away from the tone of season 1, or how it differs, I guess, from season 1 in tone. Because season 1 was very like Western gunslinger vibe.
Yeah.
And I don't know how laser swords really fit into that.
No,
So it may just totally change the tone. I don't know.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it should be at a minimum, even though as much as we want to see like live action Ahsoka, we want to see some actual like duels and stuff. I think it should be restricted because, like you said, the whole tone of season 1. I think in order for it to do well, they need to keep it. And so like maybe it's Ahsoka just showing up and saying and like letting the Mandalorian know about the Force and the Jedi, because like he had really pretty much no idea what was going on. And so I'm like, oh man, it'd just be cool. Like, what if it's just them talking and like you see like one episode? I'd still be okay with that. Like,
oh, absolutely.
Like,
and that may be the best way to go about it is just doing like a 1 episode cameo, giving the fans be like, here's what you want, and just having them like so wanting more that maybe she gets her own series, or maybe she shows up in the Obi-Wan series.
She just becomes the Claire of the Star Wars universe, and she appears in all of these little shows.
Yeah.
It makes sense though for her to come back, especially if they're going to explore more of the origins of like the child, maybe being able to explain the Force a little bit more, being able to go a little bit more in depth with the Mandalorian. I think that's a very clear and easy way to kind of have her come in. But here's the biggest thing. She hasn't actually been confirmed. She's been confirmed to be in talks and to have some role in the show. It has not been confirmed that this is who she's playing. This is just
she's going to be Ahsoka.
Yeah. This is just what everybody has been assuming she's going to play, and people made fan art, and now everybody wants her in this role. So would you guys be disappointed if it turns out she isn't? If she's just like some random minor character?
Easily.
Yeah, I think there's going to be outrage on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to prevent me from watching season 2.
No, definitely not.
And she may still do great with whatever role they give her. She's a great actress as it is. I mean, so I think it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Although it's really interesting because like if you've watched the Clone Wars, obviously the character itself is much younger. You know, she's an apprentice through the majority of the show. So it'll be interesting to see her at this point where she should be much older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, she would be what, in her mid 40s, give or take, around the time of this. So
we do see her in Rebels a little bit, and she's like a little older, and you know she's a white Jedi, and so, or is it gray Jedi?
Gray Jedi.
Yeah, sorry, excuse me, my bad. All Star Wars fans don't hate me.
And I think she was the first confirmed in the current Disney canon to be a gray Jedi, right?
Yeah.
I know there were some in like the Legends or the extended universe before Disney took them over, but I think she was the first confirmed gray Jedi, I think.
Yeah. I think you are right. But yeah, so it like you said, it'd be interesting seeing. We saw a little bit of her maturing in Rebels, and that whole, oh man, I love that I didn't even watch all the Rebels. I just watched it for those couple episodes where we see her in it, because it's just so good, and like even heartbreaking. But then seeing her at the end of this, like where has she been through the whole Empire and everything, it just be interesting. Like I would just want to know more, but I don't want them to screw up the Mandalorian. And like you said, like it's a great idea. Like, hey, cameo her in, and if she's really well received, let's make her own show, and we can follow the exploits of the Grey Jedi Ahsoka Tano and see what's going on, because you know there's so much there's so many possibilities, and so so that's my idea on that. I do, all the fan art looks so good.
Yeah, it does. It looks really good. I'm excited for, even though I don't know this character as well as you guys do, I'm so excited just to see her in. I think Dawson's a great actress. What I've seen her, and she's been in like over 100 different titles, I think, at this point, just playing like small cameo roles, and she like does awesome at them. And I think she has a good presence that wins audiences over to want to see her more in other things. So I'm sure they're not dumb. They see her potential and what she could bring. So I'm sure I can't confirm that she's going to play that role, but I think whatever role she will play, she'll knock out of the park.
Definitely.
But that's all that I have in movie news. So Matt, we'll turn it back to you and let you take over gaming here.
Video games, guys. We're playing so much games right now in this season of being at home. Heck, I re-downloaded Red Dead for the PC. and I'm playing through that because it looks gorgeous on PC. And oh man, I just forgot how good and cinematic that game is. Me and Jack are playing a lot of Sea of Thieves. We have a little segment to touch on here shortly, but I want to talk about the Nintendo Switch. We just had Animal Crossing release. There's been a lot of love towards the Switch right now, and they had a Nintendo Direct, and it's getting more love. On May 29th, the Borderlands Legendary Collection, the BioShock Collection, and the XCOM 2 Collection is all coming to the Switch. So now you can play some of these beloved, some of them are now classic games. Well, they're considered classic. I don't think they're classic, but like my favorites are BioShock out of these. I love the whole BioShock series, especially BioShock 2. Man, and they're coming to the Switch. It's gonna be more portable. Makes me really excited. It's kind of cool to see them getting more love. I'm wondering how they'll play on the Switch, but granted, they're older games, so
Yeah.
should be all right. I think we all have Switches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So is it something you might buy? Even though I haven't touched my Switch in a while, my kids play on it. But like, how cool is this? But would you get something like this, Jay? Like any of these games would be cool to you on Switch or no?
You know, the Switch I don't buy. It's not my main console that I choose to game on or really play anything on, especially because it's more mobile still. I don't really play plugged into a TV that often. If I do play it, it's more this way than anything else. So no, I don't know. I've always thought like older games, especially like more mature games on a Switch or any Nintendo product is always just kind of weird to me because I'm like,
yeah, I get that.
They're usually marketed more towards kids, like, and that's what I associate them, like family-friendly games, more so. So seeing things like the BioShock series, as much as I love that series, I already have the whole thing for free on like my PS4, so I'm not going to re-download it on a Switch just to play on a smaller screen. I don't know. I've always been a hard sell when it comes to Switch games or even portable games, unless it's like an exclusive that I can only get on here, obviously like Pokemon or something like that. So no, I'm happy. Yeah. I'm glad that for those who do main the system, and it's their only system that they have more titles to choose from. I always think that's a good thing. But yeah,
my hope is just I want to see more people. I talk about these games, and mainly like I said BioShock, and people have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm hoping that people get their hands on it and learn, because I have such like an attachment to these games.
Yeah,
because it was like I played them during like my formative years, and like of course like I have an attachment. I hear the song, and I'm like over here like freaking out about it, or and I have all these memories pop up in my head, and so I'm hoping to get more of these like good games in the hands of these maybe not BioShock in some of the younger gamers' hands, but like we have Borderlands and XCOM, and these like now are, like I said, some people are considering classics in some of these younger kids' hands, and you can actually show them like what a good game is. Yeah. And
I mean, there's more than Fortnite.
Yes, there's more than Fortnite. You're gonna open up some of these gamers' heads, and now there's time for it.
Right.
So I think it's a good thing. What about you, Chad? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's great. I think third-party games is one place that Nintendo has been lacking for generations, right? That's always been their weak spot. Their first-party titles, out of the park every time. Like, the quality is unmatched on their consoles. The problem is they've never had good third-party support. So it's great to see that that's coming. They pick some great games, but like you said, they're all like last generation games. So I don't know how much of a push they're going to get for this. Because like you said, in a lot of the older gamers, we've already played these. We played them last generation. Right. We played them on the PS3. We played them on the 360. And so I don't see a lot of people rebuying it just to play it on the Switch, because once again, part of the appeal of the Switch is the mobility, right?
Right.
No one's going anywhere.
Yeah.
True.
So
right now,
I don't see that as a selling point either. I mean, I think it's great, and it may introduce like a new generation to some of these games. Like Borderlands. There's Borderlands 3 was just released not too long ago, right?
Yeah. So
that's still coming out with new games, but there's hope, like the XCOM or BioShock, that a new generation could see these games and be like, wow, these are great. We want more of this. And so that's kind of my hope for this. Maybe getting some of the existing worlds and games that are really, really fantastic to a new audience. I don't know. Like Jay said, Nintendo's not really known for their mature type games, and I know that's something Nintendo's been trying to change. They want to be more of an all-encompassing game console rather than just the kids, because they realize that their target demographic from 10 years ago don't want to play the same games.
Right.
If we do, it's for nostalgic reasons, right? Like Animal Crossing. I've been watching a lot of people play Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
If I had never played Animal Crossing, it does not look appealing to me. But because I did play it and I loved it, there's that nostalgic factor, because the gameplay itself is not riveting to me, but there's a nostalgia to it. So I may end up picking it up one day. I'm not going to get it now, but and same with these games. I don't see me picking up any of these. Maybe the Xenoblade game. I might do that one. I don't know. We'll see.
That'd be cool. I've never actually played them, but I've always wanted to. Ever since I started seeing them in Smash Brothers, I'm like, these characters look really cool. Like I would play a game like this.
Right.
I never played Animal Crossing, so I'm like, what's all this hype about?
Yeah, same. You know what I wish they would bring back some more of their like Nintendo classic games. Like either from the DS or the Game Boy, or just like some other ones. I know they have a few, but there's like a lot. Like there was like a Mega Man series that I loved that was exclusive to I can't forget, it was the SP, I think it was SP, and then the DS that I loved. It was like a mixture of like a turn-based meets like card style, and it was really, really cool. I wish they'd bring some more of those classic games back too.
You know what I loved about my Game Boy SP days was Serious Sam.
Serious Sam.
And Duke Nukem.
Yes. Duke Nukem.
Dude.
Yeah.
I remember the only reason I bought a Game Boy SP was to do the multiplayer on Four Swords Zelda for the GameCube.
Yeah. Yes. I remember that.
Oh man, now we're going down a nostalgia trip.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our next pit of gaming news. So this one, me and Jack might be a little bit biased because we hit Pirate Legend pretty much at the same time on Sea of Thieves. We're pirates. We like to sail the seven seas and steal the booty and plunder and occasionally fish. The basics. We like to find other ships, murder them. We had a lot of fun last night for like about an hour. Trying to hide and sneak around. But there was a new update. It was released while I was in the day before I went to Texas, right? Called The Heart of Fire. And they added a new tall tale. They added a couple new things to the game. A lot of fun stuff. The thing I love about Sea of Thieves, and if anyone hasn't played it yet, I recommend to get into it now, because even if you tried it when it launched a couple years ago, which is a 2-year anniversary, it was bare a couple years ago when it launched. Now it's got too much for you to do at one time, and they're continually adding stuff. It's a lifelong game. They're just adding and adding. They had a new tall tale, which is the most cinematic tall tale they've ever done. So it's like a story mode, Jay, and the music is it is movie quality. Like it's now, phenomenal. Like the score, it's been on repeat on my Spotify. It's that good. Wow. And like I'm a music guy. Like I love scores, and so it's really cool. They added a whole bunch of extra stuff. They added chain shot. Do you remember shooting chain shot at people? And they added blunder bombs, but also they're doing an anniversary thing since it's the 2-year anniversary of Sea of Thieves. They're reliving their first content updates and giving opportunities for newer players who weren't there for these updates to get some of the limited cosmetics.
That's cool.
So last week was the Hungry and Deep, when they introduced megalodons into the game. The giant shark said, attack your ship. They did that. They gave you challenges to do them. Now, this week is the Cursed Sails, when they release skeleton ships. So, they'll rise up from the sea like the Flying Dutchman and start firing at you. Like, really epic stuff.
That's cool.
And so, limited time cosmetics is really awesome to see. I really recommend it, but I ask you this every time we cover a Sea of Thieves content update. Jay, will you jump back on and play with us at some point?
I will. I think I always love games like this. Obviously, my huge bias is Destiny, a lived-in game where that's one of the things that I think if you're going to have a lived-in game, something like Destiny, something like Sea of Thieves, you need to have a ton of content to bring people in. And even if it feels like, oh man, this is overwhelming at first, that's part of the fun of like, okay, well, let me go YouTube like what to do, or let me ask my friends who have been no life in this game or that have everything, like, hey, what's the best way to get started? And letting that's something I feel that's like part of being in the lived in community of it. Like the older people that have been in the game longer and been doing it can show the younger people like, hey, here's where you should go, or here's how to like triple up and make sure you're knocking out 3 birds with 1 stone, like do this. And that's awesome. And I think it breathes life for new players to show like how awesome the community could be. I think it shows like older players, like gives them an opportunity to kind of flex some of the cosmetic stuff or some of the cool things. Cause like someone is checking them out of like, oh, how did you get that? Or where did that thing come from? And so, yeah, I think it's all good things. Everything you've told me about Sea of Thieves has been like, yeah, sounds like they're doing everything exactly as they should. But Jack of All Studios, what do you think? You've been, playing this game regularly with Matt. Is this something you're looking forward to? Are you excited about this?
Oh yeah, this is one of the funner content updates for me. Like, probably one of my favorites is when they introduced fire a few updates back, which is just fantastic, and they just kind of build on that whole fire theme for this content update. But the game itself, like Matt was saying, like when it first released, like there was really not a lot to do. The developers have always been like, this is your game to create your stories. But over the past 2 years, like they just keep adding new things to do, new ways to play. And it's so fun. And if you don't have it, and because you can try it out with Game Pass. So if anyone has Game Pass, just go download it, try it out. If you don't have Game Pass, I think they're still doing that. You can try it out for $1. Highly recommend it just to give it a try. But it is a ton of fun. It's a little stressful if you're playing by yourself, especially if you're just getting into it. But man, if you can find someone to sail with and just have fun with friends, it is a fantastic game.
Yeah,
so much fun, and you can switch it up on how you play too. Whether you want to do just the PvE stuff, you can do that. You can try to avoid other players, or you can try running towards other players. So anytime you log in, like it's really up to you on how you want to play that particular time you log on. So it's such a great game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's just the thing that makes it more appealing to me now. Like I played on day one. We played beta. I think if I remember correctly, like even like the short alpha they had, like played from the beginning, and I took a long break. But the thing that always drawn me back into it is the fact that they're consistently updating the game and adding new stuff. And I think that's the best thing, because about every month you're getting a new update with new content.
Yeah.
So it's fresh. So like I highly recommend, like Chad said, it's with Game Pass. You can try it out, but it's Xbox and PC exclusive. Sorry, all you Sony players, but it's definitely worth it in my opinion. This is going to go down as one of my favorite games of all time. And now that it's been out 2 years, it's just amazing.
Is there, so how exactly is Sea of Thieves, like what is their revenue? How are they making money at this point?
So they do microtransactions now, but they are a exclusive Microsoft studio.
Gotcha.
So now they have a contract with Microsoft, and so they're making exclusive Microsoft games. So Rare, that's the developer.
Gotcha.
So Rare, they've done Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
They've done a lot of games. So I like Battletoads, yes.
I'm still waiting for the Battletoads inspired ship set. It's coming.
It'll come.
It's coming.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of things right now. So they added microtransactions, but again, it's only cosmetic.
Yeah.
It's just stuff for your ship to make it look really cool. They added a Viva Pinata one, so it's all colorful rainbows and pinata, so that's how they're making revenue now. And they tell the players straight. I was like, hey, if you want to see some more stuff coming down the future, share the game with people, but also if you want buy some of the stuff in the store, it goes towards that. They even did a thing where they had a special sales, like custom sales, and it was the St. Jude charity one. They raised a lot of money for St. Jude.
Yeah, they did.
That's cool.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's how they're making their money. It's just like that. But Microsoft is able to pump money into it. So
yeah.
And it is a full release game. So like, even if you don't have Game Pass or you don't want to sign up for it, you could still just outright buy it.
Yep.
And how much
as
is
a standalone game. So it's like any game. I think it's regularly $60, but it's on sale all the time.
Yeah.
True.
Because it's it's been out 2 years. So
it's crazy.
anytime
it does
that
not
Microsoft
feel
has
like
a sale,
it's been that long.
Yeah. Anytime Microsoft has a sale, it'll be on there. So
I remember back when we played like the beta, and now to hear you say it's been 2 years, it seems insane.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So sorry, I'm also being distracted right now by work.
You're good.
Because they decided they wanted to rebroadcast at 1:00 something, and someone accidentally deleted a stream key in URL to one of our major streaming platforms. So
nice. Way to go. Someone's getting fired.
No, someone gets bringing me coffee. But so the next thing is really cool. So an unreleased game that never saw the light of day, that I really wanted to see the light of day. Speaking of Star Wars again, was 1313, and someone got some screenshots of it, and on these screenshots, it's totally Boba Fett. Like, it's a Boba Fett game. Is this Bounty Hunter 2.0? Man, I saw this and I fanboyed out. I'm like, and then I got sad because we'll never see it. So did you ever hear about 1313? They showed a trailer at E3, and it was going to be like the underworld of Coruscant. It's going to be really cool looking, and it never saw the light of day. Imagine if we actually had this game. Chad or Jack, what are your thoughts on this? Like, it's so sad to see now.
It is, and this is one of those things where the community wanted it so bad. The Star Wars community in general, like, people love Boba Fett, which if you've only seen him in the movies, you might be like, why does everyone like this guy? Because he was in like kind of 2 movies and he got killed by a blinded Solo.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to be this great bounty hunter, right? And I think this would have been one of the things that really would have showcased some of that, and it would have been great. I was disappointed, as most people are, because it looked like it would have been a great game. At least it would have looked great gameplay wise. Who knows, just story wise, who knows? But with the images being leaked at this time, I don't think it's coincidence. I think it was probably planned, just to see what kind of reception they would get from it, right? Because obviously we just had a really good, successful Star Wars game with the Fallen Order, right? Jedi Fallen Order, which they've already announced they're working on a sequel to that one, which is great. Once again, it ended up being your typical Star Wars movie where you play a Jedi, young, naive Padawan, and you kind of work through it, right? But it would be really nice to see something more on the grittier side, if you will, something from a bounty hunter, especially with the success of The Mandalorian coming back to that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
People's going to be familiar with bounty hunters because that is so popular. It's bringing in a new audience of people. So this could be, a calculated leak, if you will, just to gauge interest. But imagine how great the game looked then on that technology, and then think about where it could be with today's technology, or even like the next generation. So
right.
I think it's exciting. It could, because even though we don't have this game, we could get something better out of it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm tracking right with you, Jack. I think, it seems like it's more calculated type of thing. This is giving me a lot of, like, remember when Deadpool, everyone's like, oh, Ryan Reynolds. And they're like, that will never happen. They'll never be a thing. And then they leak that test footage of like, oh, Ryan Reynolds, you know, like this full scene that was totally already all CGI'd, and people lost their mind over it and wanted it. And here we are now talking about Deadpool 3, you know, like, and I think the same could be said here of like, yeah, maybe there was this idea that they had, same thing, same concept, and they had this image, and now they're going, well, wait, what if, you know, this coming December we have the PS5, the Xbox, what is it even called now?
Series X.
Series X, yeah, like coming out. You know, like what if they had a game like this that released at launch or shortly after, you know, and they're looking at, hey, we could help boost these sales. We could also sell this game as kind of like a frontline main title, make a crap ton of money, especially for all the reasons you said. People are more familiar with Boba Fett. They're more familiar with The Mandalorian. You're going to have a lot of fans that want to learn, or just now with all this free time getting into that. And so I don't think this is coincidence. But
yeah, and wasn't there like, and I forget the studio name, but wasn't there like a big studio that was working on an unnamed Star Wars game that they still haven't announced?
Yeah,
officially.
I'm trying to think who that was. Let me see. Do you know, Matt?
No, I don't. Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I forget who it was and what studio it was, but they announced it like several years ago that they were working with EA on an untitled, unannounced Star Wars game, and nothing's ever came from that.
Project Maverick Wars was the like thing. Let me see, what was the studio though? Respawn Entertainment. I think that's who it was.
Well, and they're the guys who did.
They did Fallen Order, didn't they?
Yep.
Or Fallen Jedi, whatever it was. What's that game called? Fallen Order.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's who it was. Yeah, that's who it would have been. But then they never really announced it, and then they canceled their plans in 2019 to like showcase anything. So who knows? You never know. We might be talking more about this if something comes up from it. But I think that was everything you had, right, Matt?
That is everything I had. Sorry,
You're good. You take care of your thing that you got to do. We'll move on. So moving into technology, I know Ken's not here, but we're still going to cover a little bit of tech news today. And it seems like in the midst of all of this, there's a bunch of deals going on around the world. And so companies still want you to spend money, even if they're not open. And so it looks like Amazon is doing a huge sale right now. You can get a 5 terabyte external hard drive for only $100, which is absolutely insane. I know, like, I've had to buy terabyte hard drives for like to put into my PlayStation, to just have to upload like or move over everything that I have from like one laptop to another. This is a pretty good deal. And if you go on Amazon, there's a ton of different micro SD cards and other different things like that. If you are a content creator, you make YouTube videos and you use a camera, like, you know how valuable micro SD cards or even just regular SD cards or external hard drives are to this. Jack of all studios, are you going to be picking up anything from this?
Well, I wasn't planning on it until I saw this in the show notes, and I'm like, I don't even need a 5 terabyte drive right now, but I'm like, for that price, why not?
Yeah, right.
So I need to go out there and see what they have, because like you said, micro SD cards, I can always use more of those.
Right.
You know, if you have a GoPro or anything else that uses those, I mean, if you can get them cheap, get them.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to pick up some micro SD cards.
$20 at Walmart, 128 gigabyte.
See, that's insane. I mean, it's great. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't planning on it, but might end up picking up one.
Yeah.
I mean, because like right now I have like a 2 terabyte tied to the Xbox, but I'm like, I can make it a 5.
Yeah, it's insane. And I was just talking about this with my wife. So right before we got put into lockdown, we had been saving up. Our TV got broken when we moved by our movers, and we're still like going through this whole case of trying to get their insurance to like pay for our TV or at least like replace it. And they haven't, and so we've been talking back and forth. And so I've been waiting patiently for the last like 4 months. We don't have a TV in our living room. We've watched everything from an iPad mini that's like that big. And so, and usually we'll watch it like from the bedroom. So we rarely even use our living room. So when I found out we were going to get quarantined for who knows how long. I was like, look, we have some extra money. I'm willing to settle. I wanted to get, like, if I was going to buy my own TV, I wanted to get like a really nice Sony, a really nice Samsung, like over $1,000, I'll be honest, like TV, like I'm like, hey, I just want a really nice one. But I'm like, hey, I'm willing to settle on putting like $400 or $500. Just let's get a decent TV and just have something in the living room. And so we got one, and it's nice, and we've been spending a lot more time in there, and it's nice to have multiple spots to hang out and watch stuff in now. But even I'm like, man, I still have the box. I'm like, should I take it back? Because it seems like everything's going to be going on sale really soon. What would you guys hope? What would be like the one thing you'd want to see go on sale during this time that you're like, I would buy it in a heartbeat if it was 50% off?
More RAM. No. I don't know. TVs maybe. I would like an actual like TV in like our room, so I don't have to use my PCs and stuff to watch TV.
That's a great question. Honestly, I hadn't even thought about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the first place I would go is maybe something wrong with a PC, just to get something a little beefier, maybe. But
yeah,
that's the one thing I'm like, that's not going to go on sale because that's what's in high demand right now.
Right. Yeah.
Anything PC related, working from home, I imagine TVs, things like that nature are probably not going to go on sale because other than toilet paper, that stuff's in high demand.
Right. Yeah. True. All right. And then we had one other article here that was really, really interesting. I didn't know this was here. Matt was the one who found this. But what would you do if there was a library that was filled with government censored content, but the only way you could ever access it was through Minecraft? This was Matt. I don't know how you found this article.
I actually saw it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And so it's a place for like from people in oppressive governments. A lot of the media is censored there. And sorry, I'm getting text messages, but I'm trying to say this real quick. Where all these censored medias and so all these journalists and everything came together and brought it into Minecraft, so that if you are in like say Iran or even China, Russia, where free speech isn't really free, you can go in here and actually get some like real information. And I think it's a really great idea to use Minecraft like that. It looks weird at first, but you're like, oh, so that I thought it was really cool.
I'd want to go visit this thing, like.
Right.
I wish it had U.S. government secrets in there that I could go. Like,
you never know, it might.
That's the hard thing I think with something like this is how would you ever how could you vet what's true and what's false?
Yeah.
Well, the good thing is, like, the article even talks about this, is that the group that did it, like, they're the only ones that can edit. So anyone else can go in there, they can read, but they can't actually change
Wikipedia.
anything. Yeah, it's not Wikipedia.
That's what I was saying is, like, how do you keep it from being a Wikipedia if it's like information to the masses and anyone could edit anything, like, obviously then it would cause some trouble. But that is nice if they're the only ones. But then is it even always true if they're the only ones who are putting it out, or is it just what they want to put out or their perspective?
Right.
Of it,
Which, and that's the conspiracy theorist in all of us, right? They're doing this because the government's not telling them the information, but who's to say they're telling you the right information?
Right.
Nonetheless, I mean, I think it's a very interesting idea. And if you've seen a screenshot of the library, it's impressive.
It is.
I mean, it still amazes me what people can build in Minecraft. But the library in Minecraft is just impressive in and of itself. But it's an interesting way to try to get around the media restrictions in certain countries. Of course, you still have to say, okay, well, how many people is going to access it? Who's going to access this, right?
Yeah.
So it's still going to be a small demographic that's going to even know how to, if you're told, hey, government's hiding stuff, you can read about it on the internet in Minecraft. People's gonna be like, what? How do I get that?
Yeah.
And then of course, in the article even hints on this as well. It's like, well, if you're logging in the Minecraft, you still have a username tied to you, you have an IP address tied to you.
Right.
Can whatever government you're trying to get around, can they get access to see who's logging in to read this stuff?
Yeah.
So there's still some very security questions and issues around some of it like this, but the idea in and of itself is great in my opinion, and it's just shows the creativity that some people out there have.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. I think it's awesome. It inspires me to be like, Matt, we need to have a GMA building built in Minecraft.
Hey, we have the realm now. We could do it.
Yeah.
We need to get but it's gotta be like elaborate. I've been seeing some of these things, and I'm not a big Minecraft fan. Like I just get bored too easily. But I've been seeing some of these elaborate builds, even like this library. I'm like, can we do something huge, like massive?
Yeah, a GMA headquarters.
GMA headquarters is like a skyscraper.
Yeah, and we build portraits of all of us down hallways.
Yes,
massive portraits.
Just do a potato for me. We'll be fine.
There you go. We'll have a big potato, and then a potato with a bow, and then like little potatoes. Your whole family.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the little tater tots.
Potato portraits. Yeah.
So down.
All right, but that's everything we had in the world of tech. One other thing, this was a question that Matt proposed, but has been something that had been on my mind anyways from a recent post that I'd seen. But he asked the question here for the Christianity section: is the church essential? Because here's the reality: as non-essential places are beginning to close down, the church does the church stop bringing the message of hope, or how do we show the world the love of Jesus? And so some people had seen, including Christians, as well, churches must really consider themselves non-essential if they're closing down their doors. Jack of All Studios, you kind of saw this question. What do you think of this question?
I mean, when I see this question, the first thing I think about is what do you define as the church, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Is the church a building, or is the church the people? And the church is the people, right? You know, where you congregate doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's the fact that you're gathering together to worship Him, right? And so whether that's in a physical building or whether that's in an online space, I think that part's irrelevant. I think it's the spirit behind it, and I think it's the gathering of like-minded people that really matter.
Yeah.
And you've seen this a lot with a lot of churches. You know, they are closing their doors to the physical building. And you see a lot of them opening like an online virtual door, if you will. And a lot of churches have gone to an online only type of service. Even if it's only their pastor sitting in front of his desk at home in a Zoom meeting, you know, giving the message, or on a Facebook Live, right?
Yeah.
So the church is still, some churches are still doing what they need to do to get the message out, while, you know, still maintaining common sense with, you know, the climate of the pandemic and everything at hand.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's one of the biggest things is that, yeah, the fact of like a building itself is the non-essential place, you know, is not what defines the church body of Jesus Christ. And it's that we live in a world now where we can be connected even more so than even back then, you know, like back in the Acts 29 days, like you have the ability now to be able to use things like Zoom, to use things like Discord, Skype, whatever, Google Hangouts, whatever it may be. You could still gather and you could still be able to create messages and do all these things. Literally, Matt's working, you know, like working to fix things right now as we're talking about it. And so just because the doors themselves close, I think it's a really shallow view to just assume that because the doors are closed that there isn't work being done, or that the church just stops existing. That would mean the people would have to stop existing, you know? Matt, what do you think? As someone who is working through this as well as the rest of us are here, when you think of that and people asking that question, what comes to mind?
I hate I shouldn't say I hate them, but I hate the words that are coming out of some people's mouths where they're like, it's, you know, like, hey, the church is definitely not essential because they're closing their doors. Like, no, we're still out here giving a message of hope and showing people Jesus, even though we might not be in person. That's what we're doing at our church. Is like we've seen, of course we should see a spike in our live stream attendance, but we've been seeing about like close to 1,000 plus a Sunday on all of our live stream stuff, and which, you know, normally we have like 50. And, you know, of course, granted, they're not all in the building and they're now on live stream, and some people are meeting in small groups and watching it together. And it's another opportunity to reach people where they are. We're stuck at home. Heck, I'm stuck at home. Our family's been stuck at home, and my family's been watching our church services online. And we need to be there more than ever. I don't think that we need to be opening our doors right now to everyone, because it's not smart to have a lot of people congregating and passing stuff. But like you said, it's not a building, it's the people. Heck, we have all the virtual stuff at our disposal right now. This is what we do at GMA. Yeah. This is normal. And so I'm actually going to be working with the church this week, since I'm going to be officially back in and not remote, about trying to build something, because we don't know how long this is going to last. Can we have a virtual meeting space where it's not just Zoom calls, but have a place maybe like Discord, where people can actually congregate and talk together and have more community.
Yeah.
And because we've been talking for the past year as a church about having more of an online presence, and what better time to implement our online presence than now?
Yeah, exactly.
It's what people are craving, what people are needing, and we have more opportunity to do it more than before.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I think you're absolutely right. It's weird that some people just think that oh, buildings close, everything's done, the church just stops being the church. It's no, this is the time that we are called to be the church the most, Yeah. In the midst of when things aren't easy, in the midst of when it's just easy to not talk to anybody or not communicate at all with the outside world, it's no, we're still called to be a light in the darkness, and we're in a pretty dark time right now.
Yeah, so I will say what was really awesome this week, I saw on Facebook, is that all of our small groups are still meeting, but they're meeting through Zoom. The church, we bought multiple Zoom Pro licenses or not to get out to the small group leaders and to let them use and everything, and which is great. But what was even cool, so I shared last week that one of our pastors got COVID when he was in Israel. He's been on the news now and stuff, and so we can talk about it, but he's quarantined with his wife and 2 sons. She's shown symptoms, so they said, we're not even going to test you, we're going to assume you have it because you have the symptoms. But I see in the screenshot doing the women's small group, she's in there too. Amidst having a potential deadly virus and everything, you're still meeting, still having community together in your own home. And of course, like I said, this is what we do as GMA, but it's really cool to see implemented even around the world. I'm seeing all these other churches doing it, and it's beautiful to see, because it doesn't matter. We don't need to actually be face to face to be able to meet together, even though it is nice, but it is still really cool to see all these pictures and everything of it happening.
Yeah.
And I really think that we're on the verge of a boom in terms of what the church is and will be. Because this is a dark time. A lot of people are searching for answers.
Yeah.
And the answer's out there. And the barrier to entry, honestly, has never been lower, right?
Right.
Because, it's one thing to actually get up the courage to talk face to face and say, hey, would you come to church with me?
Yeah.
Some people really struggle with that. It's really hard for them just to get up the courage to say that, to say those words to a friend or a colleague, right? But now, share an online URL saying, hey, check this out.
Yeah. It has never been
you never know who's going to click
differently.
on the link. Yeah. You never know who's going to click on the link, and they're going to be like, this is what I was looking for. And the hope is, when all this is over and we can start gathering back, in physical places together, is that more people come from this.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I agree 100% with everything you both have said. Awesome. I'm glad. Yeah. Okay. So to wrap up then today's show, we do every Friday, whenever we have a guest on, we like to do the segment called Spotlight within our Christianity section. And what we do with Spotlight is basically this. We ask our guests to kind of share 2 things. 1, their testimony, how they came to know the Lord, how they got saved. And 2, a bit how they got into content creation, into making, if they streaming stuff or videos or whatever they may do. So Jack of All Studios, the guy in the center, is going to take it away now with both of these things. So Jack, those are your 2 questions. Feel free to fill however you want that time.
Awesome. Well, first off, thanks for having me. This has been great.
Yeah.
Normally I lurk here while I'm working, even though I can't type a lot of the times because a lot of times I'm doing other things, but it's been nice to finally get to come on here. So I go by Jack of All Studio online. My name is Chad for anyone that doesn't know me. I always struggle when it comes to talking about the testimony because I've always felt like I don't have a powerful testimony because my life has always kind of gone down what you should do, right?
Yeah.
So I was raised in the church. My family, I grew up, we went to church every Sunday, Southern Baptist, southern part of the state here in West Virginia. My dad was a trustee, he was a deacon. So he was always like in the leadership role at the church. My aunts, they would always sing, do like the special music. My dad would lead special music as well. So a lot of times, like my memories growing up on Sunday mornings was my dad making breakfast before church, practicing whatever he was going to be singing that day. So naturally, I grew up in the church. We went to church every Sunday, Wednesday type of thing. I was in the youth group. And then of course, because my parents were in leadership, I was automatically voluntold, if you will, to be a part of everything the church did, including, like I said, the youth group where we did a lot of, Christmas plays were a big thing. Like they were for a Southern Baptist church in West Virginia, they were a big production, relatively speaking,
right?
Which drew a lot of visitors to the church. So it was just always this expectation that I would be in church, right? And I guess the one part, the powerful part of the testimony really came when I was in middle school, right? So I go to church every week. I'm doing all the right things. I'm a good student. I listen. I respect my elders. All the things you're supposed to do as a kid. But outside of church, outside of home, like it was an angry time for me in middle school, right around the 6th grade year, because middle schoolers are mean.
Yeah.
And if you're not like the normal people, dude, they pick up a flaw and they just will not let it go.
Yeah.
So for me, like, it's the goody two shoes, right? He never does anything wrong. Teacher's pet, right? Also turned out I was the second shortest kid in my class. Oh, so I was also picked on for the size type of thing, and which festered a lot of anger in me, right? And then it was the summer between my 6th and 7th grade year where, as a lot of Baptist churches do, and a lot of churches I think still do it, is we had a week-long revival, right? Where you bring in an outside pastor who comes in and preaches every night of the week. Now, granted, this pastor, he was very much one of those fire and brimstone, you're going to go to hell if you don't repent type of thing, which I never related to those messages, right? Like it was conflicting to me, like the message of love that Christ is, and then the fire and brimstone that these guys were preaching. But in the midst of that, I felt God speaking to me on a personal level, right? That it had nothing to do with what the preacher was even talking about. And that's what's funny about it is I don't even remember the sermon he preached that night. I remember the conflict that was happening in me, right? And so I remember it was a Tuesday, right? Tuesday, March 22nd. And I was sitting on the balcony because, I was a mad preteen, right? And I'm like, I don't want to do anything. Be here. This is dumb. I want to be home playing video games. And this internal conflict is just raging. And then I stood up, I took a step. The next thing I know, I'm at the front of the church saying, I want to be saved, right? I'm making this decision for me, not for my parents, not for the church, but for me. And it was like, it was like an epiphany moment, right? Like things just changed in my outlook, like my anger, everything that I'd had suppressing was just gone. Which also is funny because it corresponds with, that time in my life where I was really angry all the time to suddenly I'm not. And also went from being the smallest kid to hitting a growth spurt and being the largest kid by the time I get there in the 7th grade. And I get there 7th grade and all of a sudden I'm the largest kid there. I'm the tallest one. I'm bigger than everyone.
The Lord grew
And
you
everyone
spiritually
remembers
and physically.
Yeah. And here's what's funny is like everyone's like, oh, they remember the anger, and they're like, oh crap, he's angry and now he's bigger. And I'm like, dude, I love you. It's cool.
Yeah.
And so from then on out, it was just more of the fostering that love, like really embracing it, I guess, from like a church perspective. So I really dove into the youth group more. So now, as opposed to, my parents forcing me to go or forcing me to do this, it was like, hey, I want to do this. And then, it's me suggesting things like we could do this because I think it would apply more to kids my age type of thing.
Yeah.
Which was fantastic. And through all of this, there was always one verse that stood out to me, when going through that time of where, I was being bullied at school, but not to the extreme that a lot of people are, but it was detrimental to me, which fostered all this anger, which the question was, how do you get past it? Like, how do I deal with this? And Philippians 4:13 always stood out to me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Yeah.
And so when I took that step of faith, when I made the decision for me, that verse really stuck with me to the point through I let it kind of encompass my life, right? So everything at the church, like, if I was asked, could you do this? The answer is yes, because I can.
Yeah.
And so I got into acting, I got into singing, I got into dancing. I still kept up with my school. So, I was a student honor roll, student council, yearbook editor, varsity basketball, varsity football. This isn't a weird flex, not bragging.
Right.
But it's one of those things where when you really commit to it and you have faith and you have belief, you really can do everything. Which kind of bled into where I'm at today as a husband and a father, with Jack of All. And that's where the name is inspired from.
Yeah.
That's why I picked Jack of All, because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I know it's more of a literal interpretation of that.
Yeah.
And I know there's that verse is so much deeper than it is on the surface, or it seems on the surface.
Right.
But that's really where my namesake was inspired from. To the fact that, if you put the time in, you can do anything. If you have faith and you trust him, you can do anything. And you're not going to be successful at everything. And I think that's okay. As long as you're trusting in God and Jesus, you'll be okay with him telling you no.
Yeah.
If you can't do something, because chances are there's something better coming down the road for that. So that's kind of where I come from like a testimony, spiritual perspective.
Yeah.
And how I picked the namesake for it. But the whole reason I got into the whole content creation, streaming in particular, was for Extra Life. Ever since I had kids, and I've actually been in the children's hospital here in Morgantown at WVU. We have one of the biggest children's hospital in the region. Now, granted, once again, my boys was pretty uneventful from a birth standpoint. Everything was fine. They're healthy kids. But being there with these people who do this day in and day out, and their love for the kids, and especially kids who are less fortunate than mine were, it just really had a strong place in my heart to do something, right? And that's where I came across Extra Life, where you can raise money to benefit your local children's hospital. And so I'm like, me and some friends, we get together and we do Extra Life every year. And I kept seeing all these streamers. I'm like, man, they're just raising so much more than we are, which is fine. But I'm like, what if I started streaming just to reach more people that maybe wouldn't normally know that we're doing this?
Yeah.
And that was really my whole reason for getting into streaming is for the Extra Life side of things. And turns out I've ended up meeting a lot of new friends this way. And then once again, with the namesake, Jack of All, I get on here and I get questions about the masks behind me. Like, hey, what is that? I'm like, well, I made those. Those were costumes for my kids that I made. Because once again, I can do it.
Yeah.
And then so that's the other half of Jack of All is actually like the tutorial side of things on how I do things. Even though I haven't, published a lot of those tutorials, there's plans for it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I think it's so cool to hear, even though, like you said, you don't feel like it's this like powerful, life-changing 180-degree turn in the crisis moment. But I think it's good because I think a lot of people resonate and can relate to your story. I know a lot of my students would, because the church that I came from, a lot of the students, they weren't. Their parents weren't Christians. They didn't come from good Christian homes, and like they kind of just stumbled in as like a last-ditch effort, or just found the church randomly, and they didn't have anything else going on or going for them, so they started coming. But here in Southern California, I feel like the majority of the kids really struggle with that, of like, and that's the biggest thing of like, is your faith really your own, or are you just claiming to be a Christian or claiming to follow God or know Jesus or love Jesus because that's what your parents want of you, and you just want to make your mom and dad happy right now, and so I think a lot of people they see themselves in that same story of like, it's a decision we each and all have to make ourselves. And yeah, it's funny because I feel like I've known you at least over a year, if not longer. And I didn't know that was the point of your name. I was like, super confusing. Jack, but your name's Chad. Like, there you go. Now we know. So thank you so much for coming on. Matt, thank you for being on in the midst of like your crisis here.
Yeah, sorry.
But you're totally fine. You're all good.
Yeah.
Here you are thinking, see, look, and this is the church at work. And this is what I love doing about the show the most, is literally like all of this other stuff we can get sweaty about, we can get excited about. And I'm glad that we could have mutual shared interests on like these things that bring people in, like movies and news and games. But my favorite part of this entire show is literally getting to just do this last part. It's getting to be the church together. Where two or more are gathered in my name, there will be. Like this is the time we can honor Jesus. We point people back to Jesus. It's a reminder, like, where are we? With Jack's message today, JackofAll Studios message and testimony, it's a reminder of like, is our faith really our own? Or is it just something that we supplement onto the side because our families expect it? We're in a stream where people talk about religion and God and Jesus and stuff. But is it really something that is your own? Is it something that you seek out and do in your own time? Or is it just Sunday morning, or just when you're watching a Christian streamer that those things matter? And so I'd encourage you guys, if you haven't had a moment like that, even if you came from a Christian home, like Jack said, I encourage you guys to ask yourselves that question and let it bother you to the point where you start looking and asking that question and be honest about it. So guys, thank you again so much. Let's take a moment, and guys, the way we could show people that they are valued and loved, especially these two who took time out away from their families, away from work. Jack was literally on a phone call before this thing started, and so these guys made this a priority, made time. And so one of the ways we'd show them that they're valued and loved is by going and checking out their channels. Mr. Potato, why don't you start and tell the good people, where are you going to be? What are you doing next? Where could they find you?
Well, we might actually stream tonight. I'm unsure. It depends on what's going on with the family. But, oh, excuse me. Of course, I start coughing when I need to talk.
Coronavirus!
Exactly. So good. Right now we're streaming everywhere. We're kind of like in the air of exactly what platform we're on, either Mixer or Twitch. But no matter what platform we're on, no matter what social media thing we're on, it's always Mr. Matato, MrMattato. Excuse me. Lately we've been on Twitch, just hanging out, checking out some stuff, because there's some stuff on Twitch that Mixer doesn't have, but there are plenty of stuff that Twitch is lacking.
So what was your main reason for jumping back over right now?
Mainly just to test, like, finding the right audience. I think is the biggest thing, especially with like with the Call of Duty audience. There's not a lot of Call of Duty audience on Mixer, and so that's kind of like been my headspace and everything for jumping back on Twitch. Gotcha. Plus, there's a lot more people to raid. Yeah. So it's just I'm up in the air. I'm very indecisive. I'm horrible at making decisions. But no matter what, we're streaming and we're just having a lot of fun. And then but yeah, we've been playing Sea of Thieves. Played Sea of Thieves last night. I kind of want to play Sea of Thieves again, but we'll see where we're at. Sea of Thieves or Call of Duty. So one or the other. I used to be a competitive Call of Duty player, so that's just kind of like my niche. Sorry, I'm getting texted, but yeah, so mixer.com/MrPotato or twitch.tv/MrPotato. Feel free to follow on both if you like.
Yeah, keep him on your toes. You can always check his Twitter. I put it into our chat as well. Jack of All Studios, what about you? What are you doing next? Where could everybody find you if they wanted to talk to you more?
Sure. So I am over on Mixer. I stream typically right now Mondays and Thursdays with the occasional bonus stream out there. But I am on Mixer. It's Jack of All Studio, no S. That's a common confusion is Jack of All Studio, not Studios. So if you're looking for me, leave off the S. But I'm over on Mixer when I stream Mondays and Thursdays. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter is used mainly for more of gaming related stuff, if you will. And Instagram is more of what I make costume wise, props wise, with a little bit of bleed over of both. So that's where you can find me. If you have any questions, hit me up.
Awesome, man. I posted it in the chat in there as well. And as you can hear, my dogs know that our show is coming to an end. So guys, we're going to be playing, and stick around because we're going to be doing Trials of Osiris. It is live. There's just no drops going. And I need to take a break to let these guys out real quick. But then when we come back, we're going to be playing Trials here for a little bit longer. Appreciate you guys all hanging out and being here. We're just going to hang out, talk to you guys, talk to the community, see what you guys think about all this stuff. So hang out here. But before we go, let's pray. And then I'm going to shut the door real quick, though. There we go. All right. Let me pray, and then I will let these guys go, and everyone else, we can hang out and chill and stream, and I will be right back. So, dearly Father, I just thank you, Lord, so much for these two guys, just giving their time and just being here to talk news and just be able to talk and get together virtually, Lord, in and through all this stuff, God, with all the craziness going on, to just take a moment and just be able to breathe and just enjoy creation, God, and just the joy of entertainment, Lord, and these ideas being put down to paper and pen and then being filmed and shot or created into a game or brought to life in some form of technology, God, that may all of these things that we see that are good things, Lord, never take the place of the greatest thing, but point to it instead, Lord, and that is yourself. God, I thank you for how you've called Jack of All Studios, Lord, how you've called Chad to yourself, and how he has been reminded of that truth, that he can do all things in Christ who strengthens him, Lord, that you gave to Paul in that prison cell, God. And you remind him of how he can stand in high places, Lord, but also be set in the lowest of low, and Lord, still be able to acknowledge you, still be able to honor you, still to be able to love you, that he is able to do all of those things in you, Jesus. So God, may that be the example that we set in our own households here and now, God, as we are quarantined together, as we spend time with our families, Lord, and as days begin to blur together, as we're off work and people are concerned about money being tight and how they're going to afford to pay bills and all of these things, God, may we follow in the example of those words that Paul sets for us, God, that we can do all things in Christ who strengthens us. Lord, I pray that for those who struggle or maybe don't know if they have a real relationship with you, Lord, if their faith is really their own, may today be the day, God, and wait no longer as we have this downtime, Lord, to just be with you, to ponder that, and to know that we could start that real relationship with you today. So, God, we thank you so much. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having
me.
Yeah. We're going to play some tunes. We'll be back in just a few moments. You guys hang out. Say goodbye to these two, though.